welcome to another episode of CIOtv. I'm Jennifer Hopper with AuditMax, and I am joined today by Carrie Goetz from StrategITcom, and she is the CTO and also a best-selling Amazon author. How are you today?
I'm great, thanks. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, very interested to hear a little bit about your books, but tell us a little bit about your role with StrategITcom and what you do.
So we offer fractional CTO services for other companies. We also do some of the CIO stuff, depending on kind of our customers and what they need. But the idea here is that there are a lot of companies that may not need a full-time CTO. There's a lot of companies that maybe just need help on some projects that they're trying to implement and getting them through maybe some special resources, figuring out kind of in the research what the projects do, kind of how they work. So we jump in and we act as a chief technology officer for pieces and portions of whatever they're doing, or for a certain period of time, for maternity leave would be a great example. So we go in and we're there for the short projects. We're not there to be a long-term solution, although we do have some long-term customers, but typically they pop in and pop out. And then we have an amazing network of folks that we can bring in for different parts on the project and different things. But predominantly in the data center space, we're doing a lot of work with sustainability right now.
Yes, and probably cyber as well, I would think.
Yes. That kind of goes without saying, right? I feel like that layer just has to exist everywhere.
Security, cyber, it's all a part of it at this point. That makes sense too, because if you didn't have enough employees to really justify a CTO or a CIO, it's hard for especially other C-levels to keep up with the industry and everything going on. So that's got to be a fun challenge for you to keep up with everything going on in the marketplace.
It is, yeah, which is actually why I like tech. I mean, I started out in architecture, but ended up in tech. And the reason that I stayed here was because things change so often. There's always something new to learn. There's always a new puzzle to solve. There's always new pieces and parts to put together. And, tech for good and making tech work for all of us. I think it's important that we have multiple perspectives and multiple people involved just to make sure that tech works for us and we don't work for tech, even though technically I guess we do work for tech, but yeah.
Isn't everything technology now? Your personal life, your business life, absolutely everything revolves around technology. So that makes sense. Tell me a little bit about your book and what led you to write actually, I think there's two, aren't there? Two best-selling novels?
There's three, actually. Yeah. Okay. So the first one was Jumpstart Your Career in Data Centers. And the reason that I wrote that book is because we have about 300,000 open jobs. The attrition rate for women in technology was 67% at the time, not that leave a job, that leave an entire industry, which is a deplorable number. And, how are people going to get into an industry if they don't know what it is? When we teach school, we teach coding. And coding is a very specific skill set, and some kids really enjoy it. Some people hate it. I used to write code. I'm good at it. Do I want to do it today? No, I do not. So, but the problem is,
they're still trying to,
right? But the problem is if that's all we teach and then somebody doesn't like coding, then they wipe out tech as an entire career choice. And we know that we have lots of opportunities for skilled trades and tradesmen and IT people and marketing people and accounting, and all of those things revolve around data centers. And everybody has a digital twin in at least one data center. Every app on your phone lives in a data center. Every password, that's a data center that you interact with. So why not open that up as a career possibility? And then I wrote the educator's reference to help teachers incorporate in the classroom. And then, funny story, I had a friend who went to go talk to her kids' class about data centers and was told that she could not because it was not on their approved curriculum, but she could read them a book on farts if she wanted to. And so I thought, well, that's kind of silly. How about a book on data centers? And then we could kill two birds with one stone. So there's a children's book that just came out too called Polly Packet's Precious Payload. That's all about how something travels the internet and gets to the data center, and it's just a picture, but something super relatable. But again, to introduce the trades and all of those careers, because most kids figure out what they want to be by the time they're 7 or 8. And if this is not in their wheelhouse, or they don't know anybody in their family that's any of these careers, most of the time they don't even see them.
Right. Yeah, we're very ingrained in the STEM2 hub here for Northeast Florida, and part of that does go down into your area as well. That's one of the challenges that we've had is explain to kids, at 7 or 8, you may think you're going to be a Jaguar player, or you think you're going to be a social media influencer, but you're really going to have a backup plan to get you there. So let's explore some different avenues.
Yeah, and why not learn where all that stuff lives anyway?
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
Data centers are where all of that lives.
Mm-hmm. It's hard for people to understand. They hear the cloud, they hear data centers, but putting everything together and making it work is a different scenario, I think. And if you're going to target anyone, that's what we found with the STEM2 hub, is targeting children is the best, because they're the ones this is their world. Especially the younger ones, they've lived it their entire life. They've never known a world without technology, and to show them the different opportunities will really hopefully make a change in the future and really get the pipeline going. Because to your point, there's so many jobs available that with or without a college education.
Exactly. Well, and not only that, but if you think about it, all of that stuff lives in a data center anyway. They really need to know where that lives to be better consumers. How are we going to look at the power data centers draw right now? It is a huge problem worldwide. And we're assuming that with AI and everything, that technology is going to be about a 10% power draw from all the power worldwide. How are we going to teach these kids how to be better consumers and better stewards of our environment, especially from their digital footprint, if they're never exposed to that to start with?
Absolutely. That's amazing. I love it. I would definitely like to see you come and have a conversation with our STEM2 hub and maybe talk to some of the kids up in this area. I'm sure you're working very hard in that area as well. I know there's probably a lot of challenges. And
yeah, I dial into a lot of classrooms. There's, travel gets expensive after a while, but I do zoom into a lot of classrooms. You guys are close enough. I could drive over there for sure. But it's so important, I think, that kids have a responsibility for what they do and understand what the ramifications are. Is that mean little thing that you just sent to somebody really worth it? Because look at the power you consume. So I sat down with one group of cybersecurity students, actually, and said, okay, how many snaps do you send a day? And then we looked at the size of a snap, and we looked at all of those, and then we multiplied it by the number of students that are in school. And if they all sent that same number of snaps a day, and figured out we could heat about 37 homes for what Snap alone used in a year.
Goodness gracious. That
right? So when you put it in a different perspective, it changes it.
Right. Well, and that also drives up the cost of power and the cost of
sure
and the consumables that we use. And it all trickles down as all part of the chain.
It is. Yeah, definitely all part of the chain. And the funny thing is that it's kind of like the lights, right? You expect when you go flip the light switch that the lights are going to turn on, maybe not right after a hurricane, but in normal circumstances. And so, I think it's the same thing for kids. They're so digitally native. They just expect that to be used. But kids are losing a lot. We're losing how to have conversations. We're losing the ability to have conversations where a kid looks you in the eye. Look at how many camps and stuff there are for kids just to go on a job interview. And I read the other day that about a third of young people now take their parents on a job interview with them. Which surprised me, right? So we got to get kids out of devices and more into human interaction, I think. Devices have a place, but they're not everything.
They do. And I think, not to use the C word, but I think COVID didn't help that. I think that actually, hockey sticked everything of how kids learned. They weren't even in the classroom talking to teachers or other students. So they didn't learn how to react. So I think it's a very, very good thing. And it really needs to happen, especially for these younger children.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
Well, Carrie, thank you so much for your time today. I definitely want to follow up. And when we get down your area, I'd love to come and see you as well. So thank you. And if there are any final thoughts before we head out?
I would just say that if you are a tech company, if you're thinking about going in tech, Think about all of the alternate pathways to get there. You can get in through the skilled trade, let a company pay for your education if you want, if that's the route you want to go, but explore all your options. There's no reason you have to go into debt to do something you enjoy.
Brilliant. That is a very good thing, especially in this day and time with inflation and tuition expenses, even just to start your career. And then, like you said, let your employer do it. They love to groom people from the bottom and bring them up. So that's definitely a great path. And, then you'll be able to support your family for a long term, because definitely tech's going to be around forever, as it's ever changing every second of the day.
Yeah, I think my grandfather said the 3 industries that will never go away are tech, medical, and morticians.
Oh, yep. That's pretty accurate. Unfortunately.
We're all going to be there someday.
That's for sure. Not today. Hopefully.
And we'll use the other 2 on the way. So there you go.
Absolutely. Well, Carrie, thank you so much. And I look forward to talking to you again. And that's a wrap on CIO TV. We'll see you again next time.